S. Chand presents Educational Video Lectures as per the new UGC curriculum. Difficult concepts made easy. Study anywhere, anytime.
सो मार्केट एक ऐसा टर्म जो सबके लिए बहुत कॉमन है. वी यूजुअली विजिट मार्केट. मार्केट हमारे आसपास होता है, घर के पास है, किसी के लिए स्पेशली दूर जाना पड़ता है. लेट्स जस्ट ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट इन बिजनेस इकोनॉमिक्स हाउ दिस मार्केट टर्म इज वर्किंग. क्या कोई स्पेसिफिक मीनिंग है? इसके बारे में फर्दर जानने के लिए हम आगे चलते हैं मार्केट की तरफ. Hello everyone, welcome to S. Chand Academy. If you want to read the topics in detail, please refer to the book of S. Chand Publishing. The link for the ebook is given in the description box. Now we'll be starting with various market forms. So market is not a mere term that we are using these days. Market regulates the entire economy. We need to understand that how this entire economy is run by this simple term market. और क्या इस मार्केट में और भी वेरिएशंस हैं? क्या एक सिंपल मार्केट प्लेस जहाँ पे बहुत सारे लोग एंगेज्ड होते हैं, क्या हमारे लिए बस इतना ही टर्म हो जाता है मार्केट? लेट्स जस्ट अंडरस्टैंड दिस फर्दर. सो मार्केट, as you can clearly see, a market is where buyers and sellers can meet to facilitate the exchange or transaction of goods and services. As a commerce student, the first and foremost thing is to know what exactly is good, what exactly is service. Anything that is in tangible form or intangible form must be sold, must be purchased in the market. So market is the place where we all are engaged, either as buyers or as sellers. जब हम बात करते हैं buyers या sellers की, what exactly do we mean? Me or you can be engaged in this specific process of either purchase and sale. But this thing requires goods and services. We require tangible things, we require intangible things, and they do exist. But where do they exist? Either that is taken place at my place, क्या मेरे घर पे हो रहा है या आपके घर पे हो रहा है? No, it cannot happen. What is required is a common place, and that common place is nothing but the market. So market is not just a small place कि आपके घर के पास कुछ दुकानें हैं, कुछ मार्केट है, या कोई ग्रोसरी का सामान आप लेने जा रहे हो, डेली वेजिटेबल्स आप खरीदने जा रहे हो, फ्रूट्स खरीदने जा रहे हो. क्या उससे आपकी इकोनॉमी चल रही है? We will understand that further. So let's just see what exactly is happening in market. So a market is any place where two or more parties can meet or engage in an economic transaction. So this is very important, economic transaction. This term is actually the most important part of the term market because this economic transaction takes place due to this legal tender. Now what is happening? अब एक time था when there used to be barter system. Barter, what it used to be, as a commerce student, we know that barter is what? जब मुझे सामान के बदले सामान exchange करने को मिल रहा है. If I'm teaching you, in return, you are maybe, providing me with some amount of some specific product, some amount of rice, some amount of wheat. तो service और goods का जो exchange है वो इस तरीके से चलता रहता है. That is known as barter. बट बार्टर की वजह से क्या हमारी इकोनॉमी रन कर रही थी? देयर वाज नो कॉमन लीगल टेंडर. कॉमन लीगल टेंडर इज रिक्वायर्ड इन द मार्केट सो एज टू कम टू अ कॉमन यूनिट. आज की डेट में हमारे पास क्या है? एक लीगल टेंडर, दैट इज रुपीज, द यूनिट दैट वी आर हैविंग. सो दैट अमाउंट समहाउ और द अदर इज रनिंग द इकोनॉमी. बट वो लीगल टेंडर ट्रांजेक्शन कहाँ हो रहा है? एक सिंपल सा एग्जाम्पल है. इफ आई एम जस्ट बोर्डिंग द मेट्रो एंड डी बोर्डिंग इट एंड गोइंग टू सम प्लेस विद एन ऑटो. अब वो जो ऑटो मैंने लिया, मैंने उसको ऑब्वियसली उसके सर्विस के बदले लीगल टेंडर में रुपीज दिया. बट क्या वो मार्केट है? यस. द इकोनॉमी ऑल्सो डिफाइंस दैट ट्रांजेक्शन एज द मार्केट प्लेस. So whenever in the economy you are making any economic transaction with the help of this legal tender, in order to pay goods, services, information, currency, or anything to maybe a second party or to a third party. Generally, we require two parties, but इससे भी ज़्यादा parties अगर involved है, even that specific thing consists of the market. So, market, merely calling it just market, will not work in the economy if it is not defined and understood properly. So, what exactly we understood? Market is what? A place where buyers and sellers are engaged. Now, why we are moving to this thing towards the buyers and sellers only? अभी मैंने एक एग्जाम्पल दिया कि मैंने सर्विस लिया ऑटो वाले से एंड आई एम पेइंग दैट ऑटो वाला और द ड्राइवर सम अमाउंट ऑफ मनी एंड दैट ट्रांजेक्शन इज ऑल्सो पार्ट ऑफ द इकोनॉमिक मार्केट. But then why we are calling it as buyer and seller again and again? Because these buyers and sellers will constitute the economic transactions. And when we call economic transactions, these buyers and sellers will only retaliate to the function of carrying out the legal tender, and that should be in place of the barter system. Earlier what used to happen, barter जब चल रहा था, ठीक है, एक सामान के बदले आपने दूसरा सामान लिया and the exchange process continued. But that was not actually bringing your economy to some point where growth could happen. जो आपके पास है वो आप किसी को दे रहे हो, किसी के पास कोई सामान है वो आप ले रहे हो, बट जरूरी नहीं है कि कॉमन इंटरेस्ट हो सकता है आई रिक्वायर पोटैटो एंड यू हैव व्हीट, ठीक है, हम दोनों का इंटरेस्ट सेम हो गया, बट एट द सेम टाइम आई रिक्वायर राइस बट यू रिक्वायर व्हीट एंड यू हैव पोटैटो. अब क्या वो एक्सचेंज पॉसिबल है? बिकॉज ऑफ दैट दिस टर्म मार्केट जनरेटेड, बिकॉज ऑफ फॉर्मिंग अ कॉमन यूनिट, ताकि ये व्हीट, राइस, पोटैटो का एक कॉमन यूनिट निकल सके, so that the exchange process could be continuous and could be smooth. There came up with a specific thing that was the market. And then we introduced the legal tender. Now this market, again and again we are focusing on this. क्या एक simple process में market होगा और हमें हमारे सारे answers मिल जाएंगे? No. We know that when we go to the market, हमें कुछ prices मिलते हैं. इस सामान का इतना price है, इस सामान का इतना price है. But if you look 5 years back and now, what you have found? There is a considerable rise in price, which is termed as inflation. अब ये कहाँ से आता है? क्या कोई specific force है which is working behind? Definitely. अब ये जो force है वो क्या है? क्या वो सिर्फ एक मार्केट में चलता रहेगा वो फोर्स और सिर्फ वो डिटरमाइन करेगा कि नहीं जो टी शर्ट पहले 500 की थी अब वो 1000 की है, जस्ट बिकॉज टाइम इतना चेंज हो गया है, फैब्रिक वही है, ब्रांड वही है? नो, it does not happen. What happens is because of various classifications of market. So, we were into this particular thing कि ये price determination कैसे होता है? Simple, I am going to the market and just figuring out कि ये time because of the inflation, because of time factor, price change हो गया. It is not like that. There are multiple things which are working, but they work on certain aspects of the market. What are those aspects? There are 4 popular types of market structure which are working actually in the entire economy. And these are classified on the basis of their degree and nature of competition. So this classification of market definitely will rely on the competition that is there in the market. Now, how this competition is, deciding on the factor that there should be certain price, there should be certain cost, there should be certain revenue, and the market is defined in such and such term. So there is maybe a very huge competition in the market, or there can be no competition at all. Depending on that, the market is divided into perfect competition, oligopoly market, monopoly market, and monopolistic competition. So these have different types of competition existing. We'll definitely focus on them one by one. But first of all, let's just know that this oligopoly structure is somehow neglected in the current market scenario. What works is perfect competition, monopoly, and monopolistic competition. An ideal situation would be when monopolistic competition exists. But since there are so many people working around on the same industry again and again, therefore perfect competition exists. And we now will focus on these one by one so as to understand that how these are working. Let's just understand these different types of market. So first of all, the focus is on the perfect competition. क्या समझ आता है इस टर्म से? बहुत इजी है. परफेक्ट कंपटीशन, कंपटीशन ही तो है. परफेक्ट कंपटीशन का मतलब क्या है? I just told you that there is some degree of competition which exists in the market. There can be competition between me and my friend as working in the same industry. There can be competition, there can be zero competition, or there can be a huge competition. So that defines the perfect competition when there is a large number of seller or selling companies in the market from the same industry. That consists of perfect competition. So no incentive for innovation is there, and there are very few barriers to the entry. One of the very important part here is that you can freely enter or freely exit from the market. So this thing is very important when we talk about the perfect competition. And here we assume that it is an ideal situation because right now we are in a competitive era and we cannot expect that competition is not there. So competition is at its par whenever you look at the market from various aspects, from maybe price point of view, profit point of view, or simply saying existence point of view. So there is a term survival of the fittest that purely exists in perfect competition. आप जितना ज़्यादा अपने आप को fit consider करोगे to survive in the market, only then you will be able to survive. अब वो fittest का जो definition है, that depends on the different situations of the market. What kind of situations prevail in the market? That will define your existence. Next comes the monopolistic competition. Now, this is one of the most important part of imperfectly competitive market. So, this is having traits of definitely perfect competition क्योंकि competition term exist करता है. But here also there is monopoly. थोड़ा बहुत monopoly के aspects भी इसमें आते हैं. So, what we can say? Again, this situation, in order to have a very fruitful market or fruitful economy where you are assuming growth to a large extent, monopolistic competition will be an ideal situation. But that does not happen. Why? Because there are very few industries in the economy where only few sellers exist for that industry. So even if there are sellers, let's say 5 to 10, competition will prevail. But monopolistic competition का एक जो quality है वो ये है, when there are few people in the market in a particular industry, they probably can decide on the prices, and those prices can be in the benefit of the consumers. So they can look into various aspects, unlike perfect competition whereby the sellers are forced to take on the price. Perfect competition में आपको price लेना पड़ेगा. You are the price taker. You are not the price maker as a seller. Why? Because the economy is deciding the price. और उसमें और इतने factors काम करते हैं जो आपको price decide करने नहीं देंगे. अगर हम कहते कोई suddenly there is a rise in the price of certain vegetable, but then आप तो seller हो, competition इतना ज़्यादा है perfect competition में that you cannot decide. The market is providing in the price कि देखो यहाँ पे इतना inflation है, आपको इसी price पे sell करना पड़ेगा. Then what happens? Maybe some kind of social scheme by the government or some NGO will take place and they will form some outcome for the price. और जब वो NGO काम करेगा to decide on that price, that will form nothing but the oligopoly. This is what? A combination of small number of large companies that sell differentiated or identical products. So there is no such thing about, homogeneity or heterogeneity of products. There can be both, and those things decide कि small number है but large companies है and they are selling those things, but they are deciding on a common price. Now I told you that there is, huge difference. Degree of competition differ. अब हम वो कैसे डिसाइड कर सकते हैं? व्हेन वी लुक एट मोनोपोली. सो व्हाट इज मोनोपोली? Monopoly is the one of the most extreme while we talk about the competition in the market. One extreme is perfect competition. Another extreme is monopoly. So mono is single, poly is seller. Mono is single. When we say that what are these two terms? These are combination of two specific terms. Mono, that is single, and poly means seller. Single seller, which is definitely a rare situation, but initially our economy started with this, when there used to be single sellers of certain things. Now what happened? We have a very common example of monopoly right now, that is Indian Railways. Indian Railways can decide on its own, pricing and facilities, because we don't have any other choice as of now. If suppose there is privatization and there are multiple players who are involved in Indian Railways, जैसे flight के लिए हमारे पास different companies है who are there, who are vouching for it. I have Air India, I have Vistara, I have some other company, but then उसमें मेरे पास उसी के अकॉर्डिंग प्राइसिंग में कंपटीशन आ गया, मेरे पास चॉइस है, बट यहाँ इंडियन रेलवेज में तो चॉइस ही नहीं है. दैट इज द ड्रॉबैक ऑफ मोनोपोली. The seller can decide on every price, every aspect on its own. And here the seller is price maker and not the price taker. So these are the different market structures that work. And these market structures consist of the entire market. So before going on to the break, let's just understand that there is a market which is working around us. But there are different types of competitions working. Further, we'll understand that how the revenue generation works either for the Indian Railways, that is monopoly, or for the perfect competition, that is our airline business where multiple players are working. So let's take a short break and resume after that with further clarifications.
Now quality learning is easily available at your doorstep. S. Chand Academy brings detailed lectures based on UGC curriculum as per the New Education Policy 2020. So do not forget to subscribe to the S. Chand Academy and access the wide world of knowledge conveniently sitting within the comfort of your home. Stay connected and keep watching S. Chand Academy. Happy learning!
Welcome back to S. Chand Academy. Before going on to the short break, we just understood that what exactly is the market, how it is working, what are the different degrees of competition. But now, क्या सिर्फ competition आपके market को, economy को regulate करने में helpful है, या कुछ और भी चीजें चाहिए उसमें? Definitely, as a seller, you require profit. You need to know that how to generate revenue. But ये revenue होता क्या है? क्या इस रेवेन्यू का डिफरेंट रोल है इन डिफरेंट काइंड्स ऑफ मार्केट? यस, यू कैन नॉट से दैट यू आर अर्निंग द सेम रेवेन्यू व्हाइल वर्किंग इन परफेक्ट कंपटीशन और व्हाइल वर्किंग इन मोनोपोली. आपके दोनों के रेवेन्यू में जमीन आसमान का फर्क होगा. वो कैसे होगा? लेट्स जस्ट अंडरस्टैंड दैट. सो दिस इज व्हाट वी कॉल रेवेन्यू, often referred to as sales, or at the top line is the money received from normal business operations. Simple सी चीज़ है, आप कोई भी business operation अपने साथ you are continuing, you are carrying out, you are just looking at one thing, that your target is increasing the revenue. Simple, layman में बोला जाए, layman terms में, तो revenue क्या है? More and more profit. If I am to consider a layman, but revenue is not just the profit. Revenue includes your cost plus profit. तो revenue जो है वो different होगा different case में. Definitely in perfect competition revenue will be different. In monopoly revenue will be different because your cost and investment will differ. So one needs to understand that when you are talking about revenue, what exactly is revenue? Revenue is your earning. But at the same time, it also includes what you have invested. So when one particular business operates, operating income is revenue. Operating income, that means your operations are also there. Operations means your cost. So income is there, the operating cost is also there. And when you are taking care of the revenue, you need to understand that how the profit, how the purchases, how the sales, what all these aspects or how they are working in one direction. क्या आपको sales ज़्यादा चाहिए in order to increase the revenue? Definitely one of the most important aspect of any business is to maximize the revenue to the maximum possible extent. उसका क्या तरीका है? आपको कॉस्ट रिड्यूस करना है या आपको कहीं और ऐसा देखना है जो इन्वेस्टमेंट करने से आपके पास ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा पैसा है? These things you need to figure out and you need to decide on the permutation and combination so as to make sure कि revenue में जो profit का part है वो ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा हो. So let's understand this thing further. So revenue is money brought in a company by the business activities, and there are different ways of calculating it. You can have deferred revenue, you can have accrued revenue, you can have accrual accounting basis for calculating it, but that's more towards the financial part while calculating it. But economy in general does not work on just the calculation aspect. Economy overall needs to understand कि revenue के different parts है क्या और ये जो revenue है हमारा overall ये किस तरीके से काम कर रहा है so as to figure out कि कहाँ पे मुझे revenue को maximize करना है. There can be a point when your revenue is rising. हो सकता है I am doing some business और मेरा revenue बहुत अच्छा show कर रहा है. It is growing. But अभी मैंने आपको क्या बताया कि revenue is cost plus profit. So हो सकता है वो cost वाला जो part है वो उसमें rise कर रहा है. Profit तो मुझे उतना generate हो ही नहीं रहा है. Definitely it can be possible and it is possible when you are in either of the market situations. It can be perfect competition, it can be monopolistic competition. Definitely we are not taking example of monopoly because that is where you are deciding the price. So revenue को maximize करना is not same as profit maximization. Often students confuse this thing and people do confuse revenue with profit, but these two things are different. Revenue maximization is one task, but profit maximization is another task which might or which should go simultaneously. अगर आप revenue maximize कर रहे हो और revenue में cost वाला part ज़्यादा हो रहा है, तो then again you are at the same point. Now, let's understand that what are the different types of revenue. Very important is to know that revenue of the firm, is it sales, receipts or income? Therefore, there are three different types of revenue: total revenue, average revenue and marginal revenue. अगर आपको याद हो हमने कॉस्ट में ही पढ़ा था टोटल कॉस्ट, एवरेज कॉस्ट, मार्जिनल कॉस्ट. टोटल का फॉर्म जब भी आता है टोटल इंक्लूड्स एवरीथिंग और एक लेमैन के लिए टोटल इज नथिंग बट यू नो आई एम हैविंग एवरीथिंग. दैट मीन्स सिंपल टोटल कॉस्ट है तो इतना मेरा कॉस्ट है, टोटल रेवेन्यू है इतना मेरा रेवेन्यू है. बट आई मेनली कैन नॉट गो ऑन विद दैट. I cannot start or stop my business without looking at the average or marginal part of anything. Why? Because these are going to provide me with per unit cost, per unit revenue, and where I need to stop my business so as to make or gain the maximum output. क्या मुझे स्लो डाउन करना है अपना बिजनेस? क्या मुझे स्लो डाउन करना है प्रोडक्शन? क्या मुझे देखना है कि इकोनॉमिक कंडीशन में मेरा जो रेवेन्यू है वो उतना ही जनरेट होगा या नहीं? एवरीथिंग will be taken care of only when you are focused on finding out not only total revenue but average and marginal revenue at the same time. Now what are these? Let us understand numerically. Total revenue. Simple terms में मैंने आपको क्या बताया, एक लेमैन हो या एक सिंपल बिजनेसमैन हो, टोटल रेवेन्यू इज नथिंग बट क्वांटिटी इनटू प्राइस. आप कितना क्वांटिटी मैन्युफैक्चर कर रहे हो एंड प्राइस पर यूनिट आप मल्टीप्लाई करो. लेट्स से यू आर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग 100 यूनिट्स, 10 रुपीज पर यूनिट एंड यू विल बी गेटिंग 1000 रुपीज एज योर टोटल रेवेन्यू. सो टोटल रेवेन्यू, क्वांटिटी ऑफ सेल्स एंड प्राइस पर यूनिट ऑफ आउटपुट. सिंपल. कोई इसमें प्रॉब्लम ही नहीं है अगर मुझे टोटल रेवेन्यू कैलकुलेट करना हो। बट क्या आपकी इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसीज सिर्फ इस टोटल रेवेन्यू पे डिपेंड करती है? क्या सिर्फ टोटल कॉस्ट पे या टोटल रेवेन्यू पे आप डिसाइड कर लोगे कि हाँ मुझे ये पॉलिसी बनानी है और इससे फार्मर्स को बेनिफिट होगा, इससे एजुकेशन सिस्टम को बेनिफिट होगा? नो, it cannot work like that, because there are not specific industries or profitable industries which are working in the economy. There are multiple things which are working, and you need to balance all those things in order to make sure कि allocation हर sector में equal हो. So let's move further. Average revenue, सिंपल सी चीज़ है, टोटल रेवेन्यू को आप पर यूनिट कॉस्ट से डिवाइड करोगे तो आपको एक पर यूनिट का जो रेवेन्यू है वो मिलेगा. नाउ आई टोल्ड यू 100 was the total number of units, price per unit was 10. बट यहाँ पे तो मेरा 1000 टोटल रेवेन्यू है. अगर मेरा सेम वे में प्राइस पर यूनिट बढ़ जाता है या नंबर ऑफ यूनिट्स इंक्रीज, so what I'll try to find out? I will simply try to find out that when I divide this total revenue by the number of units, I will get average revenue for sure. But ये जो average है ये आपको क्या देगा? क्या ये 10 रुपीज़ ही था तो 10 रुपीज़ ही है? सो 10 रुपीज़ की जगह क्या आप इसको 8 रुपीज़ पे लेके जा रहे हो, 9 रुपीज़ पे लेके जा रहे हो? What exactly are the things? So it can be 10 rupees, it can go down to 9 rupees, at the same time it can go up to 12 rupees. तो क्या मेरे बिजनेस में प्रॉफिट हो रहा है, लॉस हो रहा है, कितने नंबर ऑफ यूनिट्स आई एम केपेबल टू प्रोड्यूस? All these things will be divided by the average revenue part. So average revenue will tell you nothing but the number of units that you should produce or you are producing and the revenue per unit, and that is very much required. Why that is required? So as to determine कि क्या per unit पे भी मुझे profit हो रहा है, additional unit produce करने पे मुझे profit होगा या वहाँ मुझे loss होगा. So in order to find that, we find out average revenue. Further, one more concept which is very important is marginal revenue, and marginal is what? Addition to the total. Simple. Throughout your syllabus, you will find this term marginal at many points. Marginal मतलब simple होता है addition to the total. So addition to the total revenue is marginal revenue. Simple. But one thing that you need to take care of is marginal revenue is what? Total revenue of nth unit minus total revenue n minus 1. That is the previous unit. And why this previous unit is required? So as to find out that what is the change in the units sold. क्या कोई change आ रहा है revenue में? Basically अगर आप marginal देखोगे तो marginal आपको क्या देगा? हर point पे change. This delta denotes the change. Change in price, change in revenue, change in quantity, everything will be decided by the marginal. And how? Simple. Subtracting the total revenue of nth term, that is the term, given term, minus total revenue of the previous term. So that means 4 unit minus third unit minus second unit, and so on. This will be further clarified when you will be doing it graphically market-wise, because these things differ in different market situations. Perfect competition will have different structure. Monopoly at the same time will have different structure, and same will go on to the graphical presentation as well. Now, this is the broader concept. अगर हम total revenue, marginal revenue, average revenue का relation देखते हैं, तो एक जो normal situation है, उसमें average revenue will always be equal to marginal revenue. Revenue ये कहता है कि आपका per unit cost is addition to the total. Simple. जितना आपका addition to the total होता जाएगा उतना आपका per unit cost आता जाएगा. And this is the ideal situation you can say, or this is the most normal thing that happens. At the same time, if I take another market situation, average revenue and marginal revenue goes downward. This is when perfect competition exists, or you can say competition exists. थोड़ा भी competition market में है तो average revenue आपका हमेशा नीचे जाएगा. marginal revenue will go downward. The relation of average and marginal are like, if one is increasing, the other will increase. If one is decreasing, the other will decrease. But marginal here will become negative if we move further. So if I look at the relationship, you will simply find out that all three curves start from the same point. कोई भी curve ऐसा नहीं है जो same point से start नहीं होता. Unlike the cost, if MR is falling with the increasing quantity, then TR curve will gain height. Marginal revenue fall होगा, but TR will increase, but at a decreasing rate. And average curve will also decrease. And when marginal and average will stay same, that is same throughout, at that point, total revenue will increase at a constant pace. So, total revenue का concept ये है that it increases initially, then it starts falling, but increase in total revenue is always in a decreasing way. So, that we will be understanding in detail in the further sections. So, till now, we have been able to understand that what are the different types of market, how this revenue is working in an ideal situation, and the different types of revenue that exist in the market. There can be total revenue, there can be marginal revenue, and there can be average revenue, which decide on that how to continue the business, where to stop it, and where to make sure that this is going to elaborate or expand in future. So in the further section, we'll try to understand these situations in detail and clarify our doubts in other things. If you want to read the topics in detail, please refer to the book of S. Chand Publishing. The link for the ebook is given in the description box. If you like the video, please like, share and subscribe. And please don't forget to press the bell icon for further notifications.
All rights reserved. This video has been prepared for educational purposes only. No part of it may be reproduced or copied without the permission of the copyright holder.